Standing By is a body of work I completed of 20 photo etchings, giving it a rare insight behind the curtain of the Cork Opera House. Standing By came about as a theatrical term. It's given when the stage manager gives a cue really to the actor or performer going on stage. It's really their final call really from the stage manager before they step out onto the stage. So they normally say stand by or standing by. To me, standing by is just waiting, and you can feel those nervous jitters and focus that they have. I was the marketing manager here in 1997 for 9 years. I loved my time working here. We had a great team working on the marketing team, and we had great fun promoting all the different genres of shows that would go from opera to dance to musicals to the beloved panto. Our offices were based above the dressing room quarters, so we always had production managers, actors, stage hands in and out of the office, and very much part of our day-to-day work. You really got to see the workings of theatre backstage, from fitting up of a show to dress rehearsals to rehearsals on stage, and of course the amazing opening nights. Initially I started photographing the in-house productions, which were stage shots for PR events. So that was actors in costumes for a particular show, and they were really for the media to promote the show. But really what caught my eye was the backstage of the Opera House, and seeing actors in preparation in those dressing rooms, or seeing them at the side wings, you know, being caught by a light, just their silhouette in the wings before they go onto stage, and getting the quiet moments where you'd see an actor just going over their lines. What caught my eye really were the different shadows that were casted from the stage wings onto different actors while they were waiting to go on stage. The various different moments in the dressing rooms where you would see a makeup artist transform a dame or a villain. I knew the layout of the theatre, and I knew the layout of the dressing rooms, so I had an added advantage really, where the cast and crew knew who I was. They felt I was just part of the furniture really, and that I could just move in and out without many characters even noticing I was taking a photograph. I felt very privileged to really see this unique perspective that not a lot of people do get to see, and I'm only delighted to be able to share it with the general public now. I started using photography when I was a child, when I got a Kodak camera from my birthday, which had a fabulous little handle on it, and from there really just started taking photographs with my dad's SLR camera, and then going on from that, buying my own cameras and taking black and white photographic workshops. I was introduced to print about 7 years ago. Actually it was through Culture Night and being on one of the many city tours, and went to the Cork Printmakers, and I loved the setup and the ethos that they portrayed there. So I was fortunate enough to have met the then director, Valerie Byrne, and she met with me and introduced me to the team of the Cork Printmakers, who were just outstanding, and I started taking screen printing courses, and then I went on to photopolymer course. For me, printmaking, particularly photopolymer, photo etching, was the fit with my photographs. It really is very similar to photography development of black and white film or any film, where you're exposing a negative onto a plate and then playing around with the different tones that you're able to get through inks and paper. I use both digital and film cameras, but in this instance I use film. that allowed me really to capture the moods that I was after. With different films you can get different grains and different tones, but that also was magnified really with printmaking and photo etching, that you could further develop that atmosphere and that moodiness that you get in seeing those photographs from the side of a stage. Photography and photo etching are the heart of my practice at the moment. Even though I admire so many other art forms, I think I found the perfect fit for me and what I'm trying to portray in my vision for my images. Printmaking has allowed me to become a new and evolving artist. I've always had a passion for art, but I'm a latecomer to developing my own art. Even though I worked in a lot of artistic jobs, I never really thought of myself as an artist. It's only really in the last 7 years where I'm really developing my own practice that I think like that now. I'm not influenced by any particular artist, but I do believe that all artists have an effect on each other, and that's particularly in the printmakers, where there's a wonderful ethos of working with fellow artists in studios there. They're so encouraging, and there's such a variety of work that goes on there. I'm very drawn to the spontaneous type of photography where people are caught unaware, and it's very similar to the work that I did in the backstage of the Opera House. People like Willy Ronan, French photographer, and the wonderful Vivian Mayer, also the likes of Emilia Stein and John Minahan. I was like part of the furniture really. They didn't take much notice of me at all, and I kept out of the way. I was very unobtrusive, and that's really important to an actor, that you're not in their way. They were very spontaneous shots, I think, really, you know, because you're catching those magic natural moments that nobody else gets to see, and from even down on stage you had to be particularly careful because it's so dark on stage that you'd have to be very careful about what's around you, and I was very conscious of not being in the way of stage hands or the functioning of the show. So yeah, particularly on the side wings it was very, very spontaneous, and then say up in the dressing rooms with makeup people, various artists that you would just be walking through the corridor and one of them might just be reading a book and the door half open, you just catch that beautiful glimpse of them. Or another one is of people lined up in the corridor waiting to go on stage. The Salt Pico company were one of those, and as I just turned to catch her, she looked directly at the camera. Two of them did, but it just added to it. You could see actually their fear and anticipation in their eyes before they went on stage. Oh, the energy is amazing really, and it varies from show to show. So for example, we had the planned stars here in the 150th anniversary with the acclaimed actor John Kavanagh, and many other acclaimed actors from the Abbey Theatre, and that was very serene, very quiet backstage, a smaller cast. Of course they're seasoned actors, this has just been their life really, and that gave a very different atmosphere, and that's where I got the shot of John really contemplating. I actually named it Solitary Contemplation, and it is very much like that. They're very much inner focused. When I'm sitting in the very dressing room, I took this photograph of the acclaimed actor John Kavanagh. He was ready, sitting in his chair, probably about 15 minutes before curtain call, and just caught him really quietly contemplating his thoughts really, and I just love this photograph. I think it's just really caught him in a very solitary contemplation, and he so much agrees with the description of the image himself. But I do love the way that the printmaking has brought up the texture and the tones, even the ruffle on his sleeve and his costume, the actual belt to his sword, the handle on the sword, and just the expression on his face. This one I took when he he didn't know I was really there yet, because I was outside of the door. The door was ajar. But then he did notice me, and he was talking to me, and then he went into his own way of posing for photographs, which were quite funny. But a lot of characters wouldn't really talk to you. They just get on with what they're doing. I think it's because I was just part of the four walls around here, and they didn't take much notice of me. And I thought it was just really, really important to capture those intimate moments where actors and performers are just gone into their own world, that you didn't interfere or speak with them unless they wanted you to. And then other shows, for example, like the Panto. That's where you would have a huge crew. You have a combination of a huge amount of kids, so you have the sounds of chatter, it's frenzy, there are numerous costumes all over the place because of panto and dame type of costumes, and makeup galore. So you have such an array of characters and actors and performers in there, from dancers to actors to singers, to kids performing as well, and that's very exciting. There's a buzz really to that. So it all depends on the show, really. You know, a dance company is a very different thing again. They're more into a serenity, calmness beforehand, inner thinking really before they go on stage, with stretching, and not as frenzied as the type of like the pantomime. This is a gorgeous actor, Andrew, and he was in numerous musicals and of Brian Flynn's, who was a very dear director who sadly passed away. But Andrew here is just getting into his own makeup with the hair wig, the hairnet over the hair. Obviously a wig is going to be placed on. A lot of the actors did their own makeup. You couldn't possibly do all the makeup for all of the characters of the pantomime, but the main ones, like the dame, were nearly always done by a makeup artist, because the costumes and the wigs were so enormous and the costumes were so big. So this is only just the start of the makeup happening here. And that would have been on possibly an opening night of one of the pantos. And you see Mark's face here, and he's quite focused, and you catch that a lot in an awful lot of the images, where they're just gone into their own little world, really just focusing before, I suppose, the frenzy of the show would start. I love this image. It is a real spontaneous one of ballerina from Ballet Ireland, just as she's mid-change, running after getting her costume change and running back down to the side of the stage for her next scene. Everything in costumes is nearly velcroed, making it easy to get in and out of, but I just love this shot that she's obviously has a set amount of time to get back down to the stage, so the dress at the back is open. This is actually probably one of my favourite shots. It's a production of Ballet Ireland, and it's the Nutcracker, the most beautiful ballet that everybody loves at Christmas time. And this dancer is waiting at the very back of the stage of the Opera House. She's actually on stage, but the sets are further up the stage because the Opera House stage is a very large stage. But you can see the different drapes and the flats coming down the centre of the stage there, casting beautiful light, which is actually light that's shone on the stage, and it's just projected back onto the curtains at the back. But I just loved the different elements of the light that caught the curtains and her silhouette as well, along with the stage lights. Actually, coming in here to the Opera House today, it feels like I was never away, in one sense. I'm so delighted to have taken these photographs, and I feel very proud, actually, and very privileged to have been able to do that, and actually to be able to show people the work now. I think it's just so important, especially with everything that's going on in our crazy world at the moment. So it's a really lovely feeling to be back in here, and it's even a nicer feeling to be able to share it with everybody. Because at the end of the day, that's what, as a photographer myself, I just feel that what you see through your lens and what you want to capture, you want to share it with everyone. But it's very important to you that you want to, for the people, to the public, say, to who look at your work, to experience the same mood or feeling that you felt when you were taking it, and that you get that sense of nervous tension, focus that are in these shots.